Let's check in with Joseph Lindsley in Ukraine.
Sees the possibility of victory, sees the possibility that these weapons can work. And so the mood is, people are tired, but there's a lot of gratitude right now for the United States and an idea that people can change and can open their eyes and say, hey, this can work.
Little Joe Lindsley.
Joe Lindsley is quickly becoming an American treasure in broadcasting.
Welcome to Ukraine Bank.
Over the weekend, it was decided that more U.S. aid is going to Ukraine and Israel. Let's make contact with Joseph Lindsley in Ukraine. Joe, you and your friends must be relieved today. My question to you is, what about Putin's strategy now? It was thought he was holding out for a possible Trump presidency and U.S. involvement going away. Many thought that. Does what happened Saturday change that, do you think?
Well, Bob, good afternoon from Lviv. I traveled here yesterday from Kyiv, and certainly what happened Saturday or over the weekend is going to affect the calculus of the Kremlin. But especially, I think we're going to see the effects of what happened on the Ukrainian side in the coming weeks. And yesterday, Senator Mark Warner, chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, he said very clear, he said unequivocally that the ATACMS, these long-range missile systems, will be sent to Ukraine, maybe even within a week. And this has been a huge sticking point. You know, the Biden administration has sent a smattering of these very effective weapons the past 2 years, but they really have been reluctant to send these weapons, especially to places like Kharkiv region, where Ukrainians could really push back against the Russians. And it almost seemed that there was no chance that these weapons would arrive. The last batch of them arrived in October, and Ukrainians used them very effectively. It seemed within days of their arrival to take out Russian air bases on Ukrainian soil. And there was no major response from Russia. And then, in fact, when those weapons arrived in Ukraine, we had several months here with a decline in major Russian attacks on Ukrainian cities. And so we saw a good deal of success. Now, what Speaker Johnson put into that package, he actually strengthened the package that had been, the Congress had been debating about for months. The bill that was passed kind of put pressure on the White House to send these weapons. They did give Joe Biden an out, but now we're hearing chatter that indeed this pressure has worked. And so the key thing to pay attention to the next weeks is, are we going to see some changes with the deployment of these new and very effective, they're not new weapons, they're old weapons, but very effective weapons. Are we going to see a change? And already we're seeing, the Kremlin, perhaps in a bit of panic, is starting to use their favorite word whenever they, see that they're losing some kind of advantage, the nuclear word. We certainly have seen that in the past days coming out of Moscow. So I think the key thing is not to be, in Congress, they were waving the Ukrainian flags and sort of celebrating. This is not, you don't see that. There's not a celebration happening here, but there's a hope that this could turn things around. The one caveat there is, this is, I think there easily could be media pressure to see immediate great results from Ukraine. And, this is something that does take time. And this has been a long time. It's been months with no serious aid arriving here from the U.S. And so it's going to take time to turn things around. But I think if we pay attention the next weeks, maybe we'll start to see something turn. And I think that's the best. We have to be just watchful and make sure that we don't, I know the Kremlin, at least in their rhetoric, is going to try to get very nasty these coming days.
Joseph, as the war drags on, people fear there is no exit strategy. Does Ukraine have one? I've heard some of the experts now say with increased support from the United States, they might be in a better position to negotiate. What do you think? What are you hearing?
Well, there's zero interest here among the people in negotiating, because that would mean surrendering places, cities to Russian occupation. The Russians still, they want Kharkiv city, which is thoroughly Ukrainian and thoroughly free. People in Washington are kind of accepting this fact that, a place like Kharkiv could fall. But if you're here on the ground, you see there's not a chance of that. Now, when it comes to like Donetsk, the city of Donetsk, which the Russians have occupied since 2014, that city has been kind of ruined. In the eyes of people here, it's something that is almost like a Gaza. So I think there's a question mark. But what's not questionable is Crimea, and because of the strategic importance of Crimea, as long as Russia has the Crimean Peninsula, they can easily attack Ukraine. And so no, there's no sense of wanting to negotiate. If negotiation means Ukraine, letting Russia keep anything that it's taken, Russia has to be pushed back, and so these places can't be attacked. And even over the weekend, the toll is very heavy. And I was talking with some military people about the recent deaths in battle of heroes of Maidan. Ukraine's top corruption fighters are, many of them went to go fight. Some of them were conscripted, but many of them chose to go fight. They're getting killed. And this is another thing that the Kremlin wants, because if Russia did occupy any more places in Ukraine, the people who are dying in battle are the very people who would lead the resistance in an occupied place. And they're also, these people are a threat to corrupt people in Ukraine. Because they've been battling corruption, really since 2014. And I unfortunately heard the story in detail of the exact scenario of how a friend of mine was killed in battle. He was the top anti-corruption guy, young guy in his 20s, and he was sent by a not very smart middle-level commander on a crazy mission to the somewhere in the front in the tree line. And was killed. And so you see that there is a waste of Ukraine's best and brightest. But all of that, because of that, no one wants those deaths to be in vain. And so I think there's no sense of wanting to negotiate here at all.
I want to keep the hopeful tone of our conversation today by sharing a text with you from a listener by the name of Margaret. Good morning, Bob. As a writer and history fan, I love hearing Edward R. Murrow in the morning. We occasionally play this little clip of Edward R. Murrow when we sign on here, Joe. Please tell Joseph Lindsley that when I heard Murrow today on your show, I thought he's so much like Joseph Lindsley. 2 Murrow biographies are among my favorite books. Now, I know that's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks to Margaret for that, and it's good encouragement and inspiration to keep up with these daily check-ins with you, Bob, and with WGN. And as we see so much of what is happening around the world is because of events here, and so I'll do my best to keep sharing that. And I'm here in Lviv for a few days, but I'll be traveling back east again pretty soon to give the clearest possible perspective, and maybe what kind of changes we might see as a result of what happened in Washington over the weekend.
One quick question. So the people who are saying now, and there are many, that this is too little too late for Ukraine, it seems like you don't think so, do you?
I don't know anyone here. I haven't heard anyone here saying that. People are really happy, grateful for Mike Johnson, grateful for the Democrats and the Republicans, and now even seeing that the White House, after really resistance to this idea, sees the possibility of victory, sees the possibility that these weapons can work. And so the mood is, people are tired, but there's a lot of gratitude right now for the United States and an idea that people can change and can open their eyes and say, hey, this can work.
Safe travels, my friend. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you, Joe.
Until tomorrow. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important, that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Что он сказал?
Well, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?
Come on now. Oh, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?
Ебать.